Biden couldn't be having bigger wins electorally and legislatively. And what is this thing about him stepping down? Ramaswamy said it last night. Oh, we all know Joe Biden isn't going to be the candidate, and he's going to step down. Just tell us who it is. It's like, what? But this is the narrative that they've started, right?
It is, and people always, at least in the last several years, have always underestimated Joe Biden's ability to win. He cleaned up in the Democratic primaries in 2020. Nobody saw that coming. He did very well running against Trump, and he has done well with our congressional races, and in special election after special election all over the country, Democrats are doing better than expected. Even in areas where we know they're going to win, they're winning by larger margins. So I wouldn't count Biden out, definitely not. But it is a convenient distraction from Republicans in disarray. Just because they have a speaker doesn't mean they've gotten their act together. Already after this election in Virginia, you have Republicans saying that the reason they lost is because they weren't sufficiently conservative enough and that they didn't toe the Trump bandwagon of fervor. And to that I say, please let that be the lesson you've learned from this election.
Yeah. Well, please. And I feel like I say it first and then other people,
Sure.
What did I say yesterday? Bedwetting. We've got to stop bedwetting. We tend to be bedwetters. I heard a couple of pundits say it yesterday. Democrats have to stop wetting the bed and just get our together and right.
Just act as if, like, put on some Depends, like, if you have to, right. It'll get easier. Democrats have been afraid of their shadow on election day, ever since 2016. Believe me, I remember being on that train back from New York and hearing people sobbing in the quiet car, which sounds like a Morrissey song title.
There's no crying. There's no crying in the quiet car.
Sobbing in the quiet car. And I think I'm going to have AI write that song for me. But, and that was very difficult.
Yeah.
But I think it also galvanized this idea that you just don't get the luxury of not voting anymore.
Yeah.
And people have been showing up.
No, I hope 2016 scared us enough, Carl, because I obviously I like our results so far when we're scared. I feel like the danger is Democrats getting complacent again, like we did with Hillary, and saying, oh, she's going to win in a landslide and blah, blah, blah.
No, and especially, look, I don't think Democrats walk into these elections like Republicans do with Trump. You don't have to like Joe Biden or be inspired by Joe Biden. I happen to think he's done a great job.
Me too.
You don't have to be enamored with him to vote for him. You don't have to love your president. You just have to pick the best one.
And Carl, we have to do it because, as we keep saying, the media is not going to. Black Knight, another one. Democratic governor won re-election in Kentucky, Beshear, a state Trump won by 26 points in 2020. Where's the media telling Trump to drop out? Right?
Well, and down in Mississippi, they got darn close with a Democrat in Mississippi.
Well, here's something one of the things I think, I'm most concerned about that I wanted to ask you about. Speaking of which, Christopher Webb tweeted, a solid blue city with the highest black population in the U.S. in a state controlled by Republicans runs out of ballots and toner on election night. Nothing to see here. Hashtag save Mississippi. I mean, we've heard that before, that some states are not necessarily red states. They're voter suppression states. What do we do about that, Carl?
You do what they started doing more than a decade ago in Georgia. Right. And I think that needs to happen in Mississippi. And I've heard grumblings that there have been efforts underway to do that. And something that certainly deserves our support. I think the results show that with time and organizing and money, and not just to a gubernatorial candidate, but up and down the ballot, that they can do better there. And part of that is, making sure that we have the legal resources to fight when they are wronged at the ballot box.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be running. It reminded me, some of the coverage of running out of the ballots was akin to these long lines. Look at these people who love their democracy and are lining up
terrible.
to vote. And nobody should wait more than 10 minutes to vote.
Yeah.
No.
I always say that in California, they want you to vote. I've never taken more than 8 seconds to have to vote. And it's ridiculous, these states that make people wait in the line for, get off work and get childcare and wait in line in the rain for 8 hours. It's
Oh, and then
despicable.
you're not allowed to get water from anybody or
Yeah.
a snack while you
Yeah.
wait for an hour and a half. I mean, literally, the thing I always ask my Republican, friends is, if you don't believe in voter suppression, what are your initiatives to make voting easier for the quote unquote people who should be allowed to vote?
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
there are none. There are none.
Let me finish with first of all, you were the first openly gay member of your school board. We saw Danica Rome, the first transgender legislator, be elected. We saw is it a black mayor in Philadelphia? But it just was such a victory for diversity, and I have to say, I think Pete Buttigieg has been so eloquent about saying it's hard to drive by the Capitol, where the Speaker of the House doesn't believe my marriage should exist. We're driving the kids to school, and he doesn't believe we should exist. And I just thought this sums up the whole Republican part. Republicans approve an amendment cutting Pete Buttigieg's salary to just $1. I mean, they are just walking trolls. They are just mean-spirited trolls. And who knows what this is about? Of course, introduced by Marjorie Taylor Greene, right? Passed by voice vote. It will be blocked, of course, by the Senate. But just to be mean, just because, they like to blame him for, I don't know, even know what they're blaming him for today, right?
It's as if you elected people directly from a YouTube comment thread.
Yeah.
Congressperson Fuzzy Kitty 22 is now making amendments, and it's ridiculous. And you're right. Across the country, you had people being elected that represent what America looks like. Our board went from having we now have 3 LGBTQ school board members coming in.
Yeah, there goes the neighborhood. Yeah. What?
Right. That's what happens when Democrats work hard and get elected.
Yeah.
The people in office look more and more like the country.
Yeah.